Hey, I'm Andy. Welcome to the church basement. You're going to hear terms like powerlessness, acceptance, and surrender mentioned at just about any 12-step group. And that's because they're key concepts for understanding addiction and recovery. You're not going to hear them brought up as much in the church. I don't think that's because they don't mesh with following Jesus. Rather, they're just not that popular, and there's some misconception and confusion around what they mean. And that's no surprise because these ideas are hard to accept. So the idea of acceptance is hard to accept. Okay. And they're hard to accept because they contradict and they conflict with so many of the messages we hear on a daily basis. Things like nothing is impossible, you can do whatever you want if you put your mind to it, live by your own rules, do whatever you want as long as you're happy, don't quit, never give up, and never settle for anything less. And if you do, you're weak and you're a failure. And I don't know about you, but those messages, been there, done that, believed them, and they didn't work. It's a bunch of garbage. So there's this popular illustration used in recovery groups and books that paints a picture of what powerlessness, acceptance, and surrender mean and how we can better navigate life. It's about being in a car stuck on train tracks. Now, I live in a city with lots of train crossings, so this illustration makes a lot of sense to me. But if you don't know what it means for a car to be stuck on train tracks, I don't know, Google it. You'll find something. So you're in a car and all of a sudden it dies, and it dies directly in the middle of some train tracks. And not only that, a train is now headed your way. This is not a good situation. So you're stuck, but you try to get the car running anyway. You're cranking on the ignition, you're pumping the gas, you scream, you're pounding on the wheel. Nothing works. The car is stuck. And the train is coming, and no matter what you do, you cannot stop the train. Even if a train is coming at like 3 miles an hour, a walking pace. You just can't stop it. It's got too much power, too much mass, too much momentum, and it's coming. And there's nothing you can do about it. This illustration captures what powerlessness really is. No matter what you do, you cannot get the car started. And no matter what you do, you cannot stop the train from coming your way. It's a situation that you just don't have any power over. This helps us understand what step 1 of recovery means. Step 1 in AA says we admitted to ourselves that we were powerless over alcohol. Other 12-step groups tweak the language so that it says we were powerless over addiction, others, sex, gambling, food, work, emotions. There are things in life that we just don't have control over. And it seems like in life, we just intersect with train tracks like this, where we find ourselves stuck. And on our own, we just don't have the power to change, to fix, to correct, to control, to avoid whatever is coming our way. This is powerlessness. Now, this can sound kind of fatalistic, but powerless is not the same as hopeless, nor is it the same as helpless. What it means is that on your own, you just don't have the power to stop or overcome the train. But that doesn't mean that you have to sit there and get smacked by it. Also, powerlessness is a human condition. We all have this. Jesus even affirms this when he says, with man, this is impossible. This scenario, this issue, whatever it is, for you, it's just not possible. So does that mean everything is impossible? No, but some things clearly are, and you have to discover what that is for you. To figure that out, you can ask yourself questions like this. What's the thing I keep telling myself over and over again that I need to change but can't? What's the thing you keep trying to control only to end up failing and then driving yourself and others crazy? What's the situation or circumstance or issue that drives you to tend to numb, escape, and run? And my favorite, what do you do even though you know it's bad for you or creates more problems? Yeah, that's a good one. If you can answer that one honestly, or any of these questions honestly, you are going to be on your way to figuring out what you are powerless over. And that's a really good thing. So powerlessness is marked by our inability to accept the way something is or our inability to do anything about it. In relation to our train track illustration, we tell ourselves things like, you got this. We just need to try harder, be better, do more, find and learn the secret, and then we'll be able to get ourselves out of this. So we lean into self-reliance and self-sufficiency, and then at the same time, we deny that any real danger is coming our way, and we disconnect from reality. This is how many of us found ourselves in recovery because we didn't approach or even acknowledge our powerlessness. We ignored the consequences and we just kept believing the same lie over and over again that, next time is going to be different. But we kept repeating the same actions, and it never did anything, it never fixed anything, never solved anything, and we stayed stuck, and eventually it caught up to us, and it did a lot of damage. But like I said, powerless doesn't mean hopeless, and it doesn't mean helpless. There is hope for getting off the tracks and out of the way of whatever is coming our way, and it starts with acceptance and surrender. Acceptance is looking at the situation and seeing it for what it is. This is really happening. This is real. This is the way it is. A freight train is coming. It's going to hurt me. There's nothing I can do about it, and it's going to take something from me, my car. And if we don't get out of the way, it could wreck my life. When you accept that you are powerless over something, you accept reality and you accept how things are. This is extremely freeing and allows you to move forward because you can't make good, healthy, wise decisions when you're disconnected from reality and pretending that things operate differently than they actually do. The opposite of acceptance is denial, fantasy, pretending, a false reality. And we can choose to live based on this false reality, but no matter what, we're always going to have to face real consequences. When you accept your powerlessness, you now live in reality, and so you can make different choices, you can lean on others, you can get support, you can turn to God, trust Him, and experience His grace, and experience hope and real change. Acceptance is hard though. Admitting you have a problem, admitting you have a limitation, that you have a weakness, that you're human, yeah, that's hard, but it's so necessary. And that's why it's included in step 1. We admitted we were powerless. Nothing is really going to change or happen until you accept what is true about you. Surrender is letting go. We let go of our idea and our beliefs about how we think we should be, others should be, how the world should be. We accept our powerlessness and then we surrender our desire for power. This allows us to actually turn to things that can help us, that are outside of ourselves, things like God and others, which we're going to get to later. In the illustration, what we're surrendering is our desire to keep and to save the car, but we're powerless over it. So the only way to move forward and escape the pain and the damage and the hurt, whatever's coming our way, is to let go of what we want to keep. So the car represents all these desires that we're trying to keep and hang on to. And if we do, we stay stuck and we get smacked by a freight train. The reality is, if we want to move forward and we want to change, we have to let go of the desires we have that are keeping us stuck. I found that the hardest thing to let go of and surrender is my will, right? It's these ideas and thoughts about how I should be, how others should be, how life should be. For example, we're on the tracks, trouble's coming our way, and maybe we accept reality. This doesn't look good, but we say suck because we keep thinking thoughts like, this isn't fair. I shouldn't have to deal with this. I should be able to handle this. They shouldn't be acting this way. This is not how I planned on my life going. These kind of thoughts keep us stuck. But here you are stuck on the tracks and life is happening. So what do? You accept how life is and you surrender how you think it should be. You want to change? You want to avoid the consequences of poor decisions? You want to do what is right? Then you have to accept the situation and you need to surrender your will and you need to accept God's will for your life. This is what surrender looks like. We let go of trying to control the situation, trying to force our will on everything, and we accept what is happening and we act appropriately. Now, is this easy? No, surrender is super hard. Letting go of our will, nothing is more uncomfortable than that because we want our way. Why? Because we genuinely believe our way is the best way to get happiness, joy, fulfillment, love, safety, all the things that we want in life. But our will is tainted and it keeps us stuck. When we surrender it, we can move forward and we can tap into the things that give us power and help. Help comes from outside ourselves. On our own, we're powerless, but with the help of God and others, we can get help and power to navigate life. When Jesus says, with man this is impossible, he follows it up with, but with God all things are possible. Now you can debate what all things includes, but I personally believe that anything that we're powerless over is something that God has the power to help us with if we trust him. So what does this look like? Well, when Jesus left earth, he gave us a couple things. He sent his spirit, which empowers us, and he established his church, which is where we find connection, community, and support. When we're powerless, help comes from God and others. We connect to these things. I talk about connection in other videos, so I'm not going to get into those details. The point is, acceptance and surrender allow us and free us from our will and from denial to turn to God and others to find help in navigating areas of our life where we just don't have the power to do it. Until we accept our powerlessness and surrender our will and our desires, we really won't turn to God and others for the help and the support and the power that they can provide. We'll stay stuck on the tracks, trouble coming our way. To get you thinking about areas in your life where you might be powerless, you can go over those questions I mentioned earlier in the video. What's the thing I keep telling myself over and over again that I need to change but can't? What's the thing you keep trying to control only to end up driving yourself and others crazy? What's the situation or circumstance that drives you to numb, escape, or run? What do you do even though you know it's bad for you or creates more problems? What do you need to accept? What problem are you avoiding confronting? What lies are you believing? What do you need to surrender? How is your will keeping you stuck? How do you need to trust God? Who is going to help you? So that's it for this video. This is really just a brief look at powerlessness, surrender, and acceptance. There's so much more to say, and hopefully I'll say it. Check out the description for other videos that are related and any resources. If you like the video, literally, like it, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Also, my mission is to create resources that help people live more faithfully. So if you'd share this video, that would really help me out. Thanks for watching. Bye.